Hi, I'm Tony Preckwinkle, Chair of the Cook County Democratic Party. I'd like to welcome you to the 80, our podcast about the party, its candidates, and its leaders. We're beginning the podcast by interviewing our elected Democratic committee people to discuss their backgrounds and thoughts about the history and future of our party. Today, our guest is Alderman Jason Ervin, Alderman and committee person Jason Ervin of the 28th Ward. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is very interesting. I never imagined myself sitting down with the chairman of the Cook County Democratic Party being interviewed. But hey, we're in a new day, new way. So let's take our stab at it.
All right, now tell us a little bit about where the 28th Ward is and how you came to be both alderman and committee person.
So the 28th Ward is on the west side of Chicago. I say it's actually the heart of the west side of Chicago. Primarily, the community of Garfield Park is where the 28th Ward reside and has for the last 50 years. While our boundaries to the east and west and north and south has changed, but the heart of the 28th Ward has been the communities of East and West Garfield Park. So places such as the Garfield Park Conservatory, the Madison Pulaski shopping area, which is one of the busiest shoe shopping area in the city of Chicago, and all things considered in Garfield Park are really the heart of the 28th Ward, which is in essence the heart of the west side of Chicago.
Now, the 28th Ward was represented for many years by your mentor.
Yes.
All right, Alderman Ed Smith, Alderman and committee person Ed Smith, who was a colleague of mine when I was in the city council.
Correct.
Actually, he chaired the Black Caucus and I was the vice chair for many years. He served more than 20 years, and I know that you and he worked together in the 28th Ward. And then when he decided to step down, you stepped into his shoes.
Yes, I actually met Alderman Smith actually through my father. My father worked in community policing, was back then was called neighborhood relations, in the 11th district on the west side of Chicago, both in the 11th and 15th districts, which represented Garfield Park, and then 15th district was Austin. So we've been on the west side of Chicago. My parents born and raised on the west side of Chicago. So the west side has been, in our family and our fabric for the last, 70 years. So with that, meeting Alderman Smith through my dad, got a chance to work with him, and just see how he operated. And what I found was that he was really centered around helping residents, helping the people in the community. Sometimes it put us at odds with the administration, but it was always about what was best for the residents of the 28th Ward, and that's the same mantra that I've taken as alderman. Now, the deal was that he was going to stay committeeman. I was just going to be the alderman, and he was going to stay committeeman for a number of years. And it was not. I guess he decided that no, it's time for you to step up. And so a year later, he actually, said, "I'm not running for committeeman. You be the committeeman," and that's how I became the committeeman as well as the alderman in the 28th Ward, and that was back in 2012.
Now, you had a career as a city manager, as a municipal manager. You've got a master's degree in public administration, isn't that right?
Yes, I do. I received my master's in public administration from Governor State University. And again, as you stated, I was a city manager for the village of Maywood, which is also in Cook County and Proviso, prior to being alderman. And actually, prior to that, I spent a number of years working for Arthur Anderson as a mainline auditor in the commercial audit practice, and did some work in government. So all of this work has culminated into where I am today. And really, the work of being a city manager has greatly helped me in my work as alderman, understanding a lot of different tools that are necessary for the economic development and other items. So all of that work has really helped me to be who I am today.
All right. What are you looking toward in terms of uh, your activities in the 28th Ward as alderman, and then politically, what do you see ahead of you in terms of building the Democratic Party in your ward?
Really, we have a strong base in the ward. However, in many cases, and I think this is across the landscape, especially in the Black community, the base in the Democratic Party is shrinking, as we're finding younger people a little more open to other ideologies, and so we have to do great work with our young people, bringing them into the fold of understanding the values of the Democratic Party, understanding what the Democratic Party has done to give them the luxuries and the benefits that they have today. And while everything may not be perfect. I don't find a better place for us to work and consolidate our political power as a community, and to begin to in your benefits from our participation politically with the party. So I think our biggest work right now is working with our young people from 18 to 40 and making sure that they stay part of the process, and not only part of the process, but with us here in the Democratic Party.
I think this is a challenge not just of the Democratic Party, but of institutions across the board, engaging younger voters, younger residents in their activities and plans. How have you appealed to this younger demographic?
So, I started as a young Democrat. I spent time in the Cook County Young Democrats as well as here locally in the 28th Ward. So I'm still working with our young Democrats. Matter of fact, our ward superintendent locally is the president of our young Democrats in the 28th Ward. And I've really, some of the stuff I get, some of it I don't get. I'm the old guy now, whereas before I was the young guy talking about Alderman Smith as the old guy. So now the shoe has definitely changed, and essentially it's on me to help understand their thinking and to understand how we can bring the ideals to shape and work with their thinking and how they think through things. And so in order to do that, I can't do it. I'm 46 years old. Now I'm not 60, but I'm not 20, right? So I've had to work with some of these younger people to get a better understanding. So the best way to work with them is to go get one of their own. And so one of the young people that we've been working with for a number of years, through college, high school, college, and now he's our ward superintendent to help, work with the young people. So it was up to us to really put these folks in positions where they can see someone of their age and their peer group serving in capacities that normally they would not see. So with that, tool, we have worked to bring more young people into the process, working in the precincts, working in the organization to help build the Democratic Party both locally and at the county level as well.
I've asked every committee person that I've interviewed, not just about the local party, but also about state and nation. What do you hope to see from the Biden-Harris administration?
Really, I hope to see that it's about resources, not only resources for municipalities, but resources for folks that have been underrepresented. Now, I know that's tough. You can't solve all the problems at the same time. However, what I do hope to see is a deliberate effort on improving the quality of life for African Americans in our country, and that's primarily going to be in the inner city. And every question that I've talked to, even prior to in the Democratic primary process, is putting the U back in HUD, and the U is for urban development. And we see a lot of work in housing, but what are we seeing in urban development? Because there are parts of the South and West Side that look the same as it did after the 68 riots. And we have to work, and we locally don't have the resources, not even at the state level has the resources to adequately deal with the challenges that exist and have existed for the last almost 60 years. And so we really need federal help, and these are the same conversations we have with our federal partners in Congress, for all of our U.S. reps and our senators. What are we going to do to help rebuild urban America, primarily here on the South and West sides of Chicago?
So you're hoping that the administration will have a plan for in investing in our city neighborhoods and particularly in our neighborhoods of color.
That is correct, and I was happy to see the appointment of the Congress lady from Ohio as the Secretary of HUD. And again, when if and hopefully when I get my chance to have my 2 cents with her, we have to focus on what we can do to help urban America come back, and that's key. And when urban America comes back, you will see a huge resurgence in the African American community, and also at the same time stem what we have been seeing, and again, on parts of the South and West Side is the gentrification and the movement of African Americans out of the urban core into the outer to the suburbs and outer areas of cities. And this is not just in Chicago, but you'll see the same thing in Houston. You see the same thing in LA and other communities throughout the country. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to see some additional investment from the federal government in urban America, primarily on the South and West Side of Chicago.
We haven't had an administration committed to urban development in decades, so this will be quite a shift in federal policy.
And again, I think that not only do we need to have this at the executive level, we also need our federal partners. I mean, we have 5 congressional districts or 6 congressional districts that are anchored in the city of Chicago, and we have 2 federal representatives that count so a lot, very heavily on Democratic votes from the South and West sides for their positions. And so I think that it's just incumbent upon everyone to figure out how can we help those that have been helping throughout the process. And I think through putting the U back in HUD would be a significant way to do that. And that's just that's my full. And I tell them that every time I see Senator Durbin, I see Senator Duckworth, I say the same thing. We've got to put money back into urban America.
We surely need in support in the midst of this pandemic, support for local units of government, for our cities, for our counties. But in the longer term, as you point out, it's not simply about the pandemic. It's got to be a broader agenda around economic development in our urban areas. Otherwise, I don't see how our communities revive.
I just don't think we have the resources. I mean, we've used a ton of, there was a study done about East Garfield Park that focused on Madison, and the amount of money that's been put in, and for the results that have happened. And again, it's almost like you need a super infusion to make it work. And the piecemeal investment that has happened hasn't even really amounted to even maintenance. So, when you look at that level of investment and expect communities to turn, they can't without the appropriate help. And if you're only relying on market forces to do that, this is when you end up with the factors of people coming in and speculating, buying very low and waiting for things to change. And therefore, we find a lot of vacant property that is just owned and no one's doing anything with it. They are waiting. But at the same time, this process is causing community decay, which leads to ultimately to gentrification and people being displaced. And so again, as we see help, I think that this not only helps Chicago, it helps other urban centers, but it also help African Americans in a great deal because we're the original, possessors of the land, or the current possessors of the land. And so I think it would be very helpful to us with an urban agenda from the Biden administration, supported by our representatives in both houses of Congress.
Well, Alderman and committee person, thank you for joining us for our podcast, and we wish you well in the 28th Ward and surely in the City Council as we attempt to move the redevelopment and revitalization of our communities and our city. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. And also, as we go into this year, reapportionment and remapping is always going to be on our radars. I know as it in the county as it is in the city. And this is, as they say, this is where the fun starts. So, we've been through some battles, and I know you and Alderman Smith in the 91 case and map. And again, one thing I did learn is that if you work toward what is right and fair, you can, be successful. So you all's work, I'll tell you this, you all's work has laid the foundation for us today, not only in 91, when we went through 2005 and then in 2015, we're about to go through again. Your all's work have laid that foundation for you and Alderman Smith. We thank you for your hard work and steadfastness and making sure that the Black community was represented and stayed represented to a point today that there are 20 of us in City Council in the 18 wards that we represent. So thank you for what you've done to make us where we are today as members of the Chicago City Council.
Well, thank you for the encouragement, and I wish you well as head of the Black Caucus in the City Council, coming into this challenging, if not excruciating, process that you and I are familiar with,
Yes.
redistricting.
Yes. So
Thank
thank
you
you much.
Thank you again for joining us.
All right.